I caught this particular clip yesterday on Morning Joe, and it really bugged me about Harold Ford Jr. And to me, seems like he's acting more like a Republican than a Democrat. And the reason for that is he's in that Hillary Clinton camp that I win, I'm ahead, I'm winning, and when I win, everybody should just fall in behind me and just give up whatever their ideals and principles are. I'm going to roll this clip from yesterday's Morning Joe, and I'm going to allow you to see it for yourself.
Go ahead, roll it.
I was asking is whether you'll take the fight all the way to the convention and say something like, if you don't get the nomination, I would like Hillary Clinton to support that $15 national minimum wage, reinstate Glass-Steagall, come out against fracking more forcefully, make specific requests like that.
Hey, John, that was a very good start. You're doing well. Keep going.
I love it. And by the way, Koki was lovely. It was more the people translating our conversation.
On Twitter saying, no, Koki schooled you. That was great.
But she was making a very good point that Bernie Sanders at some point needs to help bring the party together.
Right.
It doesn't appear that he's ready to, and I think it's because he feels so strongly about some of these key issues. And I like it. I see he and Elizabeth Warren holding strong for what they feel is important,
That's great.
and they will come on board when they get a little bit of what they need.
But with all due respect to both of them, I mean, we're all Democrats, and they may disagree with some of the positions that some Democrats have taken over the years. But the arrogance in thinking that they have ownership and a monopoly, and believing that we ought to empower the middle class, that we ought to figure out ways to pay workers more, that we ought to figure out ways to make our environment cleaner and to address climate change, and that they have the only answers, makes them almost like the other side, the other group, when they believe are so ideological and so.
Well, I think
Okay, so Mr. Ford, you say that they claim they have a monopoly on those particular agendas. So if they don't, where's everybody else on it? They are the most vocal about it. So yeah, they don't have a monopoly, but they are the voice of people who really feel strongly about those issues. So I don't know where the hell you're coming from as far as telling them that they need to be quiet. That's bullshit. This is a democracy, while actually it's a republic. But either way, the system that we operate under is a democratic system. So that means that everybody is allowed to open up their mouths and say what they feel and stand behind their beliefs. Apparently, you don't think that that's something that should be done.
I just believe that they should fall in line.
No, but we have a long tradition in this country. You run for political office in the party. If you don't win, you go and you work with the person who's won because they got more votes than you. We can't at the beginning.
No, if you absolutely don't believe that the person that's running shares at least your common goals and agendas, you don't necessarily have to work with them. Now, you don't have to work against them, but you damn sure don't have to work with them. Case in point, when Teddy Kennedy ran and lost, he did not work with Hubert Humphrey to get him elected. Now, obviously, Humphrey lost, but one of the lion of the Senate definitely didn't get on board with the person that he ran against. And I don't hear too many people scream blue murder about how he handled himself. So just leave it alone. Let the system will work out. When Hillary finally wakes up and realizes that she needs allies in order to win this election, she'll come further to the left and offer them what they need in order to support her.
The show, more votes matter. And to Joe's point, in fairness to you guys talking about the superdelegates, Ed Rendell said over the last few days that if Pennsylvania votes with Sanders, he'll switch his vote to Bernie Sanders. So I think Nick's point, we've never had a situation where the superdelegates didn't go with the majority of the party. But I don't disagree with the superdelegate system needing to be changed. But I do think there's a tradition where you sit down with the other candidate, you figure the winning candidate, you figure out ways in which to work together. So it's just an arrogance on the part of that campaign at this point.
There's not arrogance on the part of the campaign. There's still in the middle of the game, and by the way,
you're right. But I'm responding to what Nick's article suggests.
Okay, now if we want to talk about arrogance, if you saw that town hall meeting last night with Hillary Clinton on it, that was arrogance. Bernie Sanders basically said that if and when he loses, he will do everything he can so that a Republican is not elected. But he did say that his people need to be wooed for their vote, and there are certain things that they are going to want in order to support Clinton. Okay, and it didn't necessarily have to be everything, but it was some things that she was going to have to work with them on in order to get their votes. Harold Ford is basically saying, nah, you just give up everything that you believe in just merely to support the candidate. That is not, in fact, how this works. And if she continues to believe that, she's going to lose.
They've got thousands and thousands of people right now,
and she has millions and millions of votes
that are still going out to see him. There are people that believe in him, and he has decided that he's not fighting just to win this political race. He's fighting to change the Democratic Party because he is afraid, and if I were a Democrat, I would be afraid of the fact that the person that was about to win the nomination was more of a neocon than either of the two Republican candidates.
And more cozy with Wall Street.
And more cozy with Wall Street
than either of the
Republican candidates. She is pro-Wall Street.
What is she pro-Wall Street?
She's a corporatist. She's grown up around billionaires, so much so that when she was saying that she was only worth $100 million, that she was not, quote, that rich. Because you know, the people she hangs out with have nothing in common with the rank-and-file Democrats that Bernie is speaking to.
But Joe, so you ignore her entire record of public service, her entire commitment that she's shown over the years.
I'm not ignoring her. By the way, you know what? She shouldn't like listen to Debbie Wasserman Schultz and other people saying, or Bernie shouldn't get out of the race now. Get out of the race.
But no one is saying that. I'm responding to what Nick wrote, that he's saying after the race he's going to try to influence.
I would just say that the Bernie Sanders campaign began as a protest movement. It then became a viable bid for the presidency, and it may well end again as a protest movement. I think what Harold's saying is, look, her policy record on Wall Street, her planks and her platform for this campaign are actually quite strong, but she has these long-standing relationships, financial, personal, political, with Wall Street. And part of this with Bernie Sanders is, let's lock in some specifics in this platform. Let's put our money where our mouth is and make sure that the voice of the people who supported me is heard after this election is over.
Exactly, and that's exactly what Bernie was saying, and that's the reasonable position to take. And Harold Ford, this guy sounded like a Republican. I mean, I looked at his record, and he is a little shaky as far as that's concerned.
That's not unusual.
Yeah.
That's not unusual.
This is what the Clintons are best at. And by the time of the convention, Nick's piece is absolutely right. Today, the Sanders people want as many delegates as possible for leverage. By the time of the convention, the Clintons will have united the Democratic Party with a center-left coalition, with Bernie Sanders being given a really prominent speaking slot at the convention. His delegates respected, a finessing of the platform, and they will come out of their convention much more united than the Republicans will.
I agree.
And that's exactly how it should work. But with guys like Harold Ford, that would never work. I mean, I can't believe this guy. I mean, I kind of like the fact that he stood up for himself in the past, but he's taken the same attitude that Hillary Clinton has taken, and that's a bad attitude to take as far as appealing to the lion's share of the Bernie Sanders supporters.
All right, Jonathan Capehart, final thoughts.
I agree with what Mark said, but, you know, will the damage have been done to Hillary Clinton for the general election, given the comments that Senator Sanders, that he continues to make, the attacks he continues to make against Secretary Clinton on the campaign trail?
I think she needs to address them, and then that would help put them away, and not focus on Bernie Sanders as the enemy here who's doing something wrong.
She's for the minimum wage increase. She's for
right, and exactly. And Mika's being reasonable here. She needs to address the issues that she has, even amongst the Democratic voters. Number one amongst those is releasing that damn transcript. And Harold Ford is sitting up here, basically, I guess he's in the Clinton camp, and I guess he must be planning on running for political office again and wanting the Clinton support, because, you know, he's basically just rolling over and playing dead for the Clintons.
about everything. I don't see it.
Yeah, we'll talk.
She's for it.
She's for.
All right, Jonathan Capehart, we thank you so much for being.
Yeah. So, and Jonathan Gayhart, I'm sorry, Capehart, he is definitely in the Clinton camp. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that one.